de la espada libertadora, de Bolívar, que continuó las luchas de Miranda.
¡Viva Venezuela! ¡Mi patria querida!
Every day I wake up to the sound of uncertainty. The streets of Caracas, once vibrant with laughter and music, now echo with desperation. People line up for hours, sometimes days, just to buy a loaf of bread or a bottle of cooking oil. The shelves in stores are bare, and the prices, they've skyrocketed beyond imagination. My neighbors, once proud and hopeful, now wear the weight of despair like a veil. We used to dream of a future filled with promise. But now it feels like we're trapped in a nightmare. Nicolás Maduro, a name that echoes through the tumultuous corridors of Venezuelan politics. Born in Caracas in 1962, he emerged from humble beginnings, a bus driver turned union leader, his voice rising amidst the clamor of discontent. In 1999, he stepped into the shadows of Hugo Chávez, the charismatic leader who reshaped the nation's destiny.
Hugo Chávez burst into Venezuelan politics in dramatic fashion. In February of 1992, then Lieutenant Colonel Chávez led a failed coup attempt against Venezuelan President Carlos Andrés Pérez. Chávez, the son of school teacher, surrendered and assumed responsibility for the coup.
Comrades, unfortunately for now, our objectives in the capital were not reached. We in Caracas were unable to take power.
After being released from prison 2 years later, Chávez formed the Fifth Republic Movement, a political opposition group. He ran for president in 1998, campaigning as the candidate of the people and promising to fight for Venezuela's poor. And at the age of 44, Chávez was elected as the youngest president in Venezuelan history.
We have never entertained even the slightest idea of a dictatorship. No, we are guerrillas. We are not tyrants. We are Democrats, and we will now demonstrate.
Within months, he would put a new draft constitution to a popular vote, one that would consolidate his power. The people of Venezuela voted yes, and Chávez was re-elected to the presidency for a 6-year term. But his populism was at odds with sound economics. In April of 2002, demonstrations broke out amid a general strike. Chávez was briefly forced to resign, but returned to the presidency just within 2 days, later blaming the United States for conspiring against him. Chávez develops a doctrine he calls 21st century socialism. He developed a close relationship with Cuba's Fidel Castro. Cheap Venezuelan oil flowed to other Latin American countries with leftist presidents.
Ayer estuvo el diablo aquí.
In September of 2006, at a speech in the United Nations, he calls then U.S. President George Bush the devil.
Ya no huele a azufre aquí.
It doesn't smell of sulfur here anymore.
Ya no huele a azufre.
It doesn't smell of sulfur.
And 3 months later, a sea of red propels Chávez to a second full term as president, his bedrock of support among the poor as strong as ever, and his taste for power undimmed. The National Assembly approved his proposal to rule by decree. He announced that Venezuela would pull out of both the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and his government took control of the last remaining privately run oil fields. Ostracized by the West, Chávez cultivated a resistance front, getting closer to leaders like Mahmoud Ahmadinejad of Iran and buying advanced weaponry from Russia. In June of 2011, he underwent surgery for a pelvic abscess in Cuba. Returning a month later to Venezuela, Chávez admitted that a cancerous tumor had been removed.
Confirmaron la existencia de un tumor abscesado con presencia de células cancerígenas, lo cual hizo necesaria la realización de una segunda intervención quirúrgica que permitió la extracción total de dicho tumor.
But he declares himself cancer-free in July of 2012 and sails to victory at the polls in October, winning the election with 55% of the vote and the right to govern Venezuela for another 6 years. He shocked Venezuelans again in early December when he publicly declared his bout with cancer wasn't over and was traveling to Cuba for yet another surgery, his fourth. This time he would not be seen or heard of in public for 2 months, even missing his own presidential inauguration.
When Chávez succumbed to cancer in 2013, Maduro ascended, vowing to uphold the Bolivarian Revolution.
Overnight, thousands gathered in Venezuela's capital to mourn the only leader many here have ever known. This morning, this country, the fourth largest provider of oil to the U.S., is in political flux. Late Tuesday, Chávez's hand-picked successor, interim President Nicolas Maduro, expelled 2 American military attachés from the country, accusing them of trying to destabilize the army, before tearfully announcing the death of the 58-year-old socialist leader. In a rambling speech, Maduro hinted that Chávez, who'd suffered from an undisclosed type of cancer, had been poisoned by foreign elements, including the U.S.
As Chávez's foreign minister, Maduro wielded power, navigating the treacherous waters of diplomacy. But his reign has been marred by economic collapse, hyperinflation, and a humanitarian crisis that has forced millions to flee. Opposition surged, protests ignited, and accusations of authoritarianism stained his legacy. Yet through it all, Maduro clings to power, a figure of controversy and resilience, embodying the struggle of a nation caught between hope and hopelessness, a leader in a land where dreams have turned to dust. Promises of change echo in the streets, but they feel hollow, like the empty stomachs of families struggling to survive. While the opposition fractures under the weight of betrayal and fear. We've seen this cycle before, hope igniting like a flame, only to be snuffed out by corruption and violence. The youth, once so passionate, now wear the scars of disillusionment, their dreams crushed beneath the weight of reality. Maduro's regime tightens its grip, silencing dissent, while we suffer in silence. Will we rise together, or will we be swallowed by the shadows of our past?